Hello and welcome everyone to DKO 151. It is just me and Nathan tonight. Nick might be joining soon, who knows? But we are here to talk about mainly the Waratahs, let's be honest, and everyone else. Especially that Nick's not here. We can talk about it while he's absent. Nathan, how are you? How you going?
Good. Let's go straight into Waratahs because Nick could join at any moment, and we don't want him to
That's true.
ruin it.
And derail it, yeah.
Yes.
How
Brumby's
fucking good,
propaganda.
Natho?
Fuck. We always had faith. Like we definitely predicted this last pod as well. We definitely thought this was.
Yeah. Oh my god, I really don't know where to start. So your little tagline for people who can't see on the little video, your little tagline under Nathan, it says "Cooking the chefs," and I have D Macked and D smashed. I guess I've got a bit more angle to talk about. Let's talk about D Mac, the main man. Let's start with him. He got
MVP.
People say
MVP.
he played poorly.
MVP.
Yeah, people saying he played poorly. And he did, but I really feel that he was made to play poorly. He was smacked around the park. The amount of little box kicks, very South African style, to him, they'd lined him up perfectly. They had done. This is the crazy thing about the Tahs, right? They played like absolutely got melted in New Zealand against Moana and against the Hurricanes. And then you see this coaching work they've done on D-Mac to smash him out of the game. And I mean, even Lawson Crichton smashed him twice. He dropped the pill 5 times, I think. 5
More than that,
knock-ons.
I think.
Insane. And that was
7. Hit 7.
7. And just seeing that happen, and like he's probably my favorite player, behind Tolu Lato, of course. But to just see him smacked out of a game, you kind of knew something was on.
Get that feeling in your loins.
Yeah, loins, adductor muscles, even my tank, to be honest. Yeah, my kegels. But yeah, I just thought you just knew something was in. And then to think you also had all the refereeing. The refereeing was nuts. Now, look, I don't really want to have a go at referees. But I just thought some of the calls, just the incongruity of some of the decisions, the basic comms, right? The basic fucking comms and perception that when you have that try they scored, and look, I'm happy to believe it wasn't a forward pass, but that try they scored against a run of play, and you can't even go, hey, to the comms, they say this to themselves all the time. Yep, okay, we're happy with the grounding, whatever, and they just speak amongst themselves. No one mentioned the forward pass. No one's there. They need a PR agent up there with the TMO saying, guys, you probably should check that forward pass. Just acknowledge it, because it just that is a killer for the fans out there. After you have a try that was disallowed for simultaneous grounding, which, as Morgan Turinui brought up, is physically impossible for an oval object to simultaneously be grounded on two different on an X and Y axis. But look, yeah,
that one's in the rulebook. Technically, for some reason, that's in the rulebook. I just don't know why it doesn't favor the attacking side. Like, if you want to say, oh, we don't know if it hasn't touched the chalk or the try line at the same time, why is it not favor? Most other rules just should favor the attacking side in that regard. Like the one that shits me is, look, they probably checked that pass and were like, look, it's just floated forward out of the hands. Just say it. Be a bit more clear about that. The one that irks me is the fact that Suoliti got smoked in the head, and that's just a yellow card. It's been reviewed by the Citing Commission as just a yellow card. I don't know how.
Like a rising shoulder into a dude who's 6'5".
Like, if Coops or someone else, a referee, please explain to me how that wasn't. I'm not smart enough to know this, but like, like they were trying to say on the broadcast itself, the step inside was the sort of mitigating factor. That's well and good. Sulei's body position doesn't move that much from memory. Like it doesn't really shift that much to the extent of it's all
he
some god
braces for
with
impact. So he does stoop, but he doesn't duck.
No. That's one that kind of got me. But alas, we can let's not focus on that when holy shit, the try they scored in that second half where they ran it from their own in goal and scored.
Oh my god. Okay.
Holy shit.
So fantastic fucking try. I really just want to say that try that hasn't been said enough is how fucking good Kellaway's line in that is. He fixed 3 defenders with one line. Just fantastic. I just really need to sing his praises because I've said this before, Nathan. You might remember. Wallabies fans, he came back and oh, great, this great player. He's come from England. I think he was at London Irish.
Northampton.
He's come back. Sorry?
Northampton.
Yeah, right. Okay. Oh, they also wear green. He's come back. He's, how good is he? And then a couple of years on, he's not the wow factor. But I said that was something we really kind of, Australian fans in general kind of miss everything like that and just want to go back to explosive Marika Korobetti type winger. But he's fucking fantastic. My mate who was at the ground said you could just see him the whole game telling Swiley where to go because Swiley doesn't really know where to go all the time, especially in defense. So it's just fantastic try. Really going to be remembering that one for years. And not to forget, Kai Fiketis, this lad try was fantastic too.
I said this at the time as well. Like, if we're sitting at this point in October and like Rugby Australia Awards are on, and we're debating something that has equaled that or bested that, God, we're in for a good year because that should just win every award when it comes to try of the years that we have out there. That was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, especially Lawson Crichton's no-look little tap on. Yeah,
straight over his head. That's me. That's the underrated bit. Is I reckon most people think that's just an easy or just through the hands. He's getting tackled at that moment. Like there is no time to kind of. It's almost like one motion. He doesn't sort of clock it back and go forward. It's just like a boop. Reflexes bad over the
motion on.
It was incredible. It was just
phenomenal. Yeah, just so much to talk about that game. The D at the end, Joey Walton. I mean, he's always been there, but where's he come from? Like he didn't play a game. He didn't start a game for a year and a bit about 2 years ago, and he's come back. And look at him. Pulled the game by the collar, the scruff of the neck. That's the term.
Yeah, I think he. It was a foot injury. I want to say. So. Yeah, he had some just long term. I think it was also. I want to say he had a back injury as well. I broke his spinal. I think it was spinal.
That sounds about right. But he had a couple of niggles anyway. Go on.
I will say this, and this is not as a hot take as you think it should be. I reckon he plays for the Wallabies this year.
Damn.
I know it seems like a hot take. I know they think highly of him. So much so that he was playing in that Australia XB game against England. He was in Wallabies kit. And like in Wallabies squads in July, just nobody talked about it. He wasn't just like officially called up. I remember seeing the Bledders though. I looked down. I'm like, is that Joe Walton on the sideline? I'm like, hang on a minute, what?
Yeah, right.
He's been around Wallabies squads on multiple occasions, and everyone sort of looks at this 12 situation like, oh well, we got to play Ikitau or we got to play Sulei there, or like Hunter comes in, but yeah, like all of a sudden, Joe Walton's a real option. So yeah, I say that's gonna be a bold take, and if you hear it, if it happens, I'm gonna gloat in people's faces. Speaking of us about to gloat in someone's face.
Here we go.
There he is.
Face, hey.
Stop your monsters. Of course, you're talking
You know,
bloody
enjoy-
Tahs the moment I get in.
This is part of your entry. You must say one nice thing about the Waratahs win on the weekend. Go.
I mean, 100-meter try was phenomenal. Let's call a spade a spade. It was chef's kiss from behind the line.
You're comparing that try to a spade.
Come on. I mean, like, I don't want to dig.
Tool. It's like one of them Makita things. Battery charged Makita screwdriver.
Oh, the Ryobi one. All right, I'll tell you what it is. It's like those TikToks that has, like, those really satisfying grass cutting TikToks, like where they turn the lawn into a really crisp, clean, beautiful lawn after it's been all ragged and overgrown. It was like that. It was crisp. I just had a moment. It was the moment where I definitely went, "Are we on here? I think we're on here. Holy shit!"
We.
Notice how I said we. We knew it.
We
knew it all along.
Yeah.
Mate, wait until we get to Saturday night.
Yeah. We already talked about that. No luck there, Nick. But yeah, fantastic. Actually, I was just looking up Joey Walton, Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
He went to a public school.
That's it.
Yeah, with Dauber High School
on the Central Coast.
Yeah. How about
one
that?
Of those rare ones. One of those rare ones. Come through.
Not from the eastern suburbs or from Randwick, though. Today, if you're from Randwick, you're living the dream.
You just want to talk about everything other than this Chiefs game, Nick. We're only 12 minutes in, but we're halfway through. We haven't even talked about Tristan.
I was talking about Eddie Jones.
Yeah,
right.
No, don't have any wounds, mate.
Have we covered everything? Oh, just go back to the referees as well. Like, again, sorry, I didn't bring this up at the time with the referees, but there was Swiley's high shot. He stopped. He was like, okay.
It was so bad.
Clear knock on, and are you going to call it or what? And then I'm pretty sure he accidentally hooked someone in the head. I think Stevenson, late in the game.
Maybe, yeah.
Him. Like he went to get him, and he just hit him with his inside of his elbow. And then there was also, I think, Joey Walton tackling a dude in the air. Like, there was just all this stuff that was just absolutely lost. You could tell the tension with the players. They were actually pissed off, and I think the ref had lost the players. Those are just two other things to talk about the refs that we didn't go into, unless, Nathan, you don't want to get in trouble. Or Nick, you can talk about the ref if you want.
It's more of the fact of, like, we won. Like, I'd be more pissed off if we didn't win. Then we could go into rant. But, like, we won.
Many such cases, I'm just trying to be consistent.
Sure.
Look, on my 2 cents on the whole referee situation, I think I do think they weren't as consistent as normal. I do think there were some questionable calls there. I mean, the whole situation with Piketty's try, I mean, don't even get me started about that. It was a bit ridiculous. But I think, though, particularly, I think the matches that it really came out were the two Aussie matches, the Tahs Chiefs and the Brumbies Reds. But even then, even despite that, I kind of am willing to give it a bit of a pass because it didn't really affect the result overall. The Tahs were still the better team, and the Brumbies were still the better team. And I think part of that probably comes from the way they worked the ref. While there might have been some questionable calls in there, I mean, refs are human; they can make mistakes. And at the end of the day, we still got an entertaining game of rugby. Suoli's, the whole thing with Suolihi and all of that, and some of the other ones. I mean, like, freaking Alessio should have been sent for that hit on McDermott. I mean, Jesus Christ, that was pretty bad. But they're human at the end of the day, and we still got a really good game, and the right team still won.
Thank you for calling the Waratahs the right team.
I'm loving this. This is great.
You are just loving this. You are milking it so hard. Though, I mean, it was a good match. I think it's the best performance that the Tahs have actually put in probably since 2018 when they made the semis.
Probably since Brumby's game.
No, I'd say this performance was better than that.
Yeah. Nathan,
sure.
what do you?
I'd say this performance was better than that. Like it was a better all round performance. The motivation, the levels were up. They like playing at home, and it's good.
Look,
Nathan, do you agree with Nick there?
no, he's probably right. Yeah, that was probably better than the Brumby's performance. I just think more around, like the scrums had to be solid. The line, like in terms of an all round performance, I think that was like from defensive wise to set piece wise to even the kicking game seemed on point. Like it just seemed the closest thing is to what we've seen perfect from the Waratahs. I'm concerned that this now all of a sudden blows up this week against the Draw, and then we just end up just back at the same point. We're like, what is this team?
Yeah,
I think to be honest, Nathan, I'm sorry. I mean, even though I do think it was a really good performance against the Chiefs, I think you're absolutely right. They're playing in Lautoka, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, no one's winning there. I don't know what it is. Funnily enough, the Drua have actually lost their last 3 games on the trot in Suva, but Lautoka is something else. There is something in the water or something in the grass at Churchill Park. They always get up there, and I think that as much as I do think the Tahs are on the up, they're not going to win this game.
Well, actually, Nick, I thought you were going to say something else. So, and you didn't say it, so I'm going to throw it back at you. Bit of trivia. The Drua, worst team in the comp, but they've beaten one team. Do you know who that is?
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suddenly the Waratahs aren't all that special. It feels.
Damn.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that from you. I was expecting that. That's too much trader.
I know. I'm just, I just don't want to break my heart again.
So after this weekend, are we officially in agreement that the Chiefs should be moved to Western Sydney?
Not after this weekend. Decided that.
They're not good enough. They're not good enough.
They got to earn that.
Yeah, they've got to. Yeah, they do. That's why they're getting ref balled to the final. They were until the brave and indomitable Waratahs held them back. Nathan, before we move on, do we have anything else to talk about this Waratahs game?
No, I think we covered it pretty well. I think we've done enough glazing. We've actually done 17 minutes of glazing, so that's enough.
Yeah, good. All I just wanted to say, I think the only thing I've wanted to say is that Teddy Wilson's playing pretty bloody well, and it's great to have him there because Jake Gordon's probably going to skedaddle after this year, but he is not ready for the Wallabies. Same with Lawson Crichton. I've seen people talk about it. They have one decent game for the Waratahs, and people start glazing them. So cut it out. It's not on.
Stop it.
Not on. Okay, so
stop it.
We've come to probably what's going to be Miley's favorite time of the pod is when Nick gets to get on his little low horse, his little Brumby, and talk about the Reds. Now, I won't be able to say a whole lot. I'll just keep you boys brief for my own enjoyment because I haven't actually watched the game. Sorry, I was being social on Saturday night. So, Nick, let's hear it from you. Tell us about the this Brumbies Reds game.
I mean, I'll be honest when I say that I was surprised, but then the rain started to come down, and I don't know, Nathan. I know this is probably like there's some numbers about it, but what is it with the Queensland Reds and playing in the rain? Like, I feel like there's something going off here because the first 20 minutes of the game, the Reds were excellent. They played really, really well, really slick. There was a good level of match intensity. And then it just felt like the Brumbies steadied the ship, and they controlled that last 60 minutes. I was on kind of thinking about it with the one-eyed fan, and I was like, I'm actually not worried here, which I was really surprised about. It felt like the Reds kind of lost their heads a little bit, and whether it was due to complacency, whether it was due to, which I don't think so, because, given the fact they lost this corresponding fixture and they're hoping to try and get back on top of the ladder and all of that, there was plenty to play for in this match, and they know that the Brumbies can offer up a lot of opposition given how close those games have been. it was notable to me to see Les Kiss so pissed at halftime. Like, I was watching that and I was like, okay, something's off here with the Reds. Whether it's an off night, whether it is you just have one of those nights where you're clearly not playing your best. But when I saw Kiss actually getting pretty animated with them in the change room, I was like, something is clearly not clicking here. And for the life of me, I can't tell you what it was, but Brumbies played better. Maybe because they were focused, maybe because they came with the right sort of attitude. They were like, this is how we're going to beat this team, this is how we're going to deconstruct them. I mean, apart from a couple of moments, I mean, of course, case in point, the tackle on McDermott, and I think Noah Lolesio played a pretty decent game. In all honesty, not that, and I'm surprised. I was very surprised by this result, Nathan.
Yeah, I think this is a great example of what happens when you start losing a collision battle. It felt like Rob Valentini changed that instantly off that line-out play where he just like steamrolled Tim Ryan.
He ran at Team Ryan. Oh, I watched that try on a loop. I was like, that is hot. That is a hot try because he just suddenly set a pace out of nowhere. That try was so good. And yeah, you're right. Like that one hit up, the moment that try came in, things changed.
The rally, and then you combine that with his bump off Nongor and Seraura, I want to say. Like, those two sort of things set the tempo for what was to come. Now, like, Valentini was just going to run over people. And I think as soon as that happened, the Reds got a bit lost. I reckon a lot of that had to do with no Harry Wilson on the field. They missed that big runner. They missed that somebody who, that back fence carrier. I think also as well, and this was my sort of big takeaway from this game, is I think just the Reds look cooked. I think that's why Les Kiss went to the old Michael Checker school of motivating teams at halftime and basically brought out his version of the golf club. I think they, after 7 weeks on consecutive games, they were just cooked. And Kiss had to find something. I've got this theory that it's not going to be the best team that wins this competition. It's just going to be what team is the most rested towards the end. Because I think you look at that Highlanders game against the Brumbies. The Brumbies looked tired. They looked lethargic at points throughout that game. They came out looked awesome. The Reds looked exactly the same that the Brumbies did against the Highlanders. So I think this is a great lesson for Kiss and the rest of the competition to be like, all right, if any team has a 5 or 6 game run leading into this playoffs, you at least one of those games, you need to be resting like your full squad to make sure that they are safe. But
it's interesting you say that, Natho, because the Reds, I think, have probably been one of the better Australian teams to rotate the players.
Yeah, but they still looked cooked. That's the reality. Like I think also part of that is because they played the Chiefs last week as well. You're not going to get that finishing the back end of the year. So you're going to at least have one game where you can properly rotate people out.
I do actually want to add one last point, which I really, really noticed, which was kind of a point that you alluded to a little bit, Nath, which was that the Reds missed Harry Wilson. I also think that one of the key things the Brumbies did, which I think a lot of teams might actually look at for the interim period that Wilson is not around, in terms of the ruck, they targeted Fraser McReight. They targeted him. They didn't give him an opportunity to steal much ball at all. I had a bit of a moment. I think it was the 63rd minute where I think it might have been Nick Frost who got isolated, and Fraser McReight pipped a steal and got a penalty. And I came to a realization, I think that's the first one. In the 63rd minute, that's how effectively neutralized he'd been. Like they were pinning him in the ruck as well, so he couldn't get to. Not only could he not get steals because players were specifically targeting him, but it was kind of a similar. It's kind of like he couldn't even get to every single ruck, which meant that the Brumbies had a lot more dominance over the contest of the ruck, and they could get consistent ball. It's kind of similar to when Pocock retired and Michael Hooper suddenly was getting targeted for the Wallabies during, Checker and Rennie years. He was on his own. It kind of just felt like that. And part of me was just thinking to myself, Sarah Uru, do something, mate. Help him. He's clearly being targeted, or, and that's not to say that Uru's a bad player or anything like that. It's just clearly they've done their homework here. You need to find some way to counteract it. Get involved in those rucks a bit more so Fraser can be as effective a weapon as you can possibly be. And they really didn't identify that, even in the second half.
Yeah, bang on. And I think it'd be a great lesson for you younger back rowers like your Joe Bryles and your John Bryant's coming on just to kind of play a bit more of that impact of how not only they can just impact their game, but free up Fraser to sort of stuff that makes him cook.
Kind of as a last kind of question about this particular game, do you think it's where do you see how these two teams are sitting now? Because I mean, I think it was a pretty disappointing performance from the Reds, even if it is the end of the bye. I mean, I think even if they are going into the bye, it kind of the performance itself, it lacked something, and it kind of reminded me a bit of that Moana Pacifica loss last year, where they just kind of it wasn't just that they were tired. You can still perform and be tired, and if you're a competent enough side that can put a good team away. It felt like there was something else missing here. Are you worried about the Reds, and do you think the Brumbies are back, or is it just kind of a case of too early to tell, too early to say we're only halfway through the season, because we really are?
Probably that, yeah. Like, it's still so much this season to prove in the sense of we've seen Reds teams falter in the past. We've seen Brumbies teams be uber consistent and not be able to win a semi-final. I think, yeah, there's still a lot to play out, particularly for the Reds, who've just got so many injuries. Like, you had Fluke out, Wright out, Wilson out, Dunkunu out. Like, there's four quality players that probably are around that 23 and just added quality still to come back into the side. So I'm not that worried.
Yeah, me neither.
Right. Okay. So speaking of the poor Reds, can we go back to speaking about New South Wales?
We're talking Super Rugby Women's.
We are talking Super Rugby Women's. Great win by New South Wales. Kind of smashed the Reds by the end. Nathan, take us through it.
I just looked at class above. That's how they've looked like the entire time. Like, it's just a sense of just the Wallaroos players stood up. Like, Desiree Miller is amazing. I interviewed after the game. She is so powerful, yet again, maybe the smallest person on the field. It is such a fascinating story. Georgina Fredericks, also awesome in that midfield, kind of caused a lot of headaches for the Reds backline, just carved them up all day. Like, the Reds scrum basically kept them in that game the entire time. Like, they just bullied the Waratahs, but the Waratahs just found a way to keeping them out and then just killed them on the counter. But yeah, no, it was as I've kind of said this entire year, like, the Waratahs team is just a class above. You don't bet against them in big stages like this. And yeah, they now go to a bigger stage against the Blues on Thursday night. So it's going to be a really big test to see where they sort of stand with the sort of New Zealand champions.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a really good game. It was a wonderful afternoon, to be honest, out at North Sydney Oval. There was the real contest. The atmosphere was really good. Seemed like a pretty decent crowd in the stands as well, who turned out to watch the match. Yeah, I do think the only, kind of echoing your points there, Nath, like the physical battle was good. It was really just, and the scrum for the Reds was really good. That was pretty much all that kind of really worked their way. I think it was a simple case of the Waratahs have really turned to something that they've noted, because I think they have noted that there is an improvement from all the sides. Like, everyone, it's not a simple case of we can just run around them like it was in the early seasons of Super Rugby Women's. The contest and the quality is out there in all the other sides. So it's a wearing down contest now. It's a contest of well, we know we've got the ability to eventually get over the top of you, and it's a case of if a team can match them for the full 80-minute performance. That's not to say that the Reds can't do that. It's mostly just when you've got that level of cohesion and experience and trust in cohesion in that system, you're going to win more games like that. Now the challenge is that can the Waratahs take that and apply it to across the ditch? I mean, last time these two sides played in a trial, it was a 36-all draw. it's easy to forget that. Like these two sides have actually had some a pretty decent contest, but you only need to go back a couple of years of Super Rugby Women's trials and saw that the Tahs have been shown up on several trips over to New Zealand, which again highlights the quality of New Zealand women's rugby compared to Australian women's rugby. But I think we're going to see a much closer contest than previous years. I've got a feeling that we're going to see a much more competitive. I think the Waratahs will come in as outsiders for this match at North Harbour Stadium on Thursday afternoon, but I think it's going to be a closer contest than people expect because of those strengths that have come out. I mean, it's annoying that there is so many players out for the Tahs, like Piper Duck is still out. And I know Maya Stewart's out with concussion after that hit from Kaslik, which was brutal. Thank God it's only a concussion and she'll be able to make a recovery for the Wallaroos, but it's a shame that she'll miss out on this match. They do have some good quality coming in off the bench though, but yeah, would I still tip the Blues to win? Yes, but I think it's going to be a much closer contest than people give it credit for.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm pretty sure the Waratahs will be heavy underdogs for this game, and probably should be going over there. But yeah, it's more a shame that they're just not going to have a full squad in terms of being able to give them like a proper shake. So, but look, it's still enough quality in that team, which they should be able to do some damage and really keep this game competitive, if not come away with a win.
They stop the go forward. If they stop the go forward of the Kiwis, then it becomes a different state of affairs. I'm very curious to see how the improved physicality of all of the sides kind of plays through here, because the thing that Black Ferns would often do when they play the Wallaroos is just they overwhelm with sheer speed and sheer go forward, and the Wallaroos just cannot keep up. That's where they are constantly beaten. It's not smarts. It's not anything like that. It's just sheer speed and go forward that really proves the difference between the two sides. I think that the Waratahs and all Aussie sides in general have improved upon that. I think it's a weakness that they are addressing. So I'm very curious to see how it goes. I mean, particularly if they can stop Portia Woodman-Wycliffe. Like, she's just the queen of go forward. If they can put her back a couple of times, that changes the dynamic a lot.
Yeah, couldn't say better myself. I think that's going to be a key to whether they can be competitive and actually sort of put up a good fight against the New Zealanders or the New Zealand counterparts at North Harbour Stadium, which again will be great.
Do you guys have a prediction for this game?
Yeah, probably. I'd probably Blues by 10.
I reckon it's going to be less. I reckon it'll be Blues by a single figure. So
9.
Probably by a converted try. No, not by 9. No, I'd say a converted try. You're a menace, Hartman, when you straight to 9. All right, fuck it.
Yeah, you fucking idiot, Nathan. Oh.
Okay, you dingus, you're 1 point off, you muppet.
Okay, awesome stuff, boys. And yeah, let's go Waratahs. Always, let's go the Waratahs, and let's bring down the Kiwis, the evil, conniving Kiwis, especially the referees.
Lord.
Moving on. Nathan, you had the pleasure because it was during my 9 to 5, but you work in rugby union, so you're allowed and able to watch Randwick play Japan under 23s, coached by Eddie Jones.
Your Eddie Jones. Your Eddie Jones. Did you say my Eddie Jones?
No, mate. That's my.
Oh, I thought you said Mighty Jones. I'm like, why are you claiming him there? Great.
No.
Yes.
And sorry, can you answer this? Was the Randwick team the first grade, or was it a mishmash?
A bit of a mishmash. Like you had guys like Oscar Jorgensen, who's Max's cousin, who's played like first Colts most of the year. I think the center played last week in 3rd grade, and then by the time like the second half came on, there was like a mix of like 2nd grade, 3rd grade Colts dudes in with 1st grade. But no, like they've mean, it was mainly first grade to start the game, and yeah, they cooked Japan. They were up like 19-7. And then just a wild 5 minutes to finish the game. It was awesome. Like, Japan somehow missing a kick from like next to the posts that would have put them up. Then getting the ball back and them nearly scoring. Then like a chick kick off from their in goal from Randwick. Thought that like that was going to be the sort of 100, 110-minute try to win it. Then there's another turnover, and then a second chip kick from Felix Turanuri, who's Morgan's son, for Christian Yasmin on the wing, who, for context, this was like his coming out of retirement game. He was just sort of there because they needed numbers. And like, yeah, Tristan Riley's, yeah, Peaches, James Hendrens, these people of the world are with like the Waratahs or now Super Rugby Club. So he just sort of came out just because they needed numbers and scores the winning try to, yeah, sink Eddie Jones at Coogee Oval, the ground where he sort of made himself. So as a again, card-carrying member of the Rank Mafia, yeah, great to watch. Warm with my heart fivefold.
It made me laugh. That's all I've got to say. It made me laugh a little bit. I mean, what is going on with it? I mean, I feel like it probably isn't. It probably isn't an accurate representation of Eddie and Japan. But even though it seems down, but like, what happened here? What happened here?
Sure, it's an under-23 squad. It's not the real Japan squad, and that's the disclaimer people want me to make. I'll make fine. But you're essentially playing a bunch of dudes who are part-time footballers. You should be, even with if you want to call it an under-20s or under-21 squad that they threw out there, like a bunch of teenage kids, that's fine. You should still be able to beat that team. The fact they didn't, just given Eddie's history, just makes it funnier. It really does. It makes
Where
it
do
more
you think?
I enjoy it more.
What do you think if you're Eddie? What do you actually do if you're a Japanese rugby fan now, or if you're an Eddie fan? Like, I mean, are there Eddie? I know probably in our audience there probably aren't any Eddie fans, but they do exist. Like, how do you process this result?
I mean, to be fair, like, people probably look at that Bristol game Australia XV played, and like we were making all the excuses in the world, being like, well, it doesn't matter. It's not. That team just got put together. It's not even close to our full strength. We'll have a better team for England. Like, these results happen to be serious. Like, these results happen. It's all about just developing these players, and like they've had 3 quality hitouts against Randwick, Australia under 20s, and Oz Barbarians, and which will make them better heading forward, give them a bit more game time compared to maybe sitting on a bench in a top league Rugby League 1 or Rugby League 2 team in Japan. Like, ultimately, this is going to be probably really good for the development, but it's just a result in isolation. It's just funny. That's it. It's great.
Okay. Now, time to look forward, Nick. Your favourite time of the week. Your favourite time of the week to look forward. But before we look forward, Nick, means we must look backward. Nick, are you following? Are you following?
I mean, I guess I am. I just kind of go with the flow with you now whenever you give me these random tangents. So, yes, I'm definitely looking backward.
Right. Well, Nathan's following me, so
Gotcha.
Get that one. So the other non-Waratahs and other Australian team sides results of the weekend that we haven't mentioned so far is Hurricanes lost at home to the Crusaders by 7. Blues blew out Moana Pacifica at home in Auckland, and the Highlanders beat the Drua again. So, as I said before, Drew's only won 1 game this year. Looking forward to this weekend. Nathan or Nick, chime in if you want to talk about any of these Kiwis, previous or current. So, Crusaders Blues, any comment on that?
I don't know where Crusaders keep finding these hookers, because they just brought on Moana last week, and he looks insane. So he's probably just going to play a big impact alongside Cody Taylor. Bowden Barrett has beat the Wash allegations, and this is now that I've said that, he's going to come out and have a stinker, but I've said it. He's beat the Wash allegations. He's actually cooking right now, so I'm actually really looking forward to this game as like a standalone Good Friday game.
Yeah, right. Nick?
Yeah, I'm going Crusaders on this one too. I mean, as much as I do think the Blues would probably look to have turned a corner with 2 wins on the trot, Satyrs look all right now. Like they've brushed off the
Top of
penny.
the
They've
table.
brushed off the penny cobwebs. Yeah, they've brushed off the penny cobwebs, and
That
lo
wasn't
and
his fault.
behold, no, it wasn't his fault. But they're looking pretty good right now. So yeah, you'd be hard not to back them at home.
They've lost twice this year so far. Nathan, off the top of your head, I think they lost against the Chefs. Who else they lost?
Off the top of my head, did they lose the Blues again? Was this? No, it wouldn't have been to the Blues. No, they pumped the Blues. I'm now not doing it off the top of my head. I'm finding out who this is.
Moana Pacifica.
Oh yeah, last 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2
3
weeks ago. Shit, how we get about that?
Yeah. Oh, who can remember about Moana? Ever? I certainly don't. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the Crusaders looking good. Unfortunately, I mean, boring. Find someone else to win. So that's the end of the game on Friday, as Nathan said, at 5 p.m. official Super Rugby time, which is also 5 p.m. in Queensland, Gold Coast time, and that means it's 3 p.m. in WA. Okay, so we have 4 games in a row. I've just given you the time differences there, so you can figure it out for yourselves. But we've got Fiji and Drua at 12, Fiji and Waratahs at 12, Moana and Brumbies at 2:30, Chiefs and Highlanders at 5, and Force Hurricanes at 7:30. Drua and Waratahs. I think the Waratahs can win this because the Fijians have been so crap this year. They're really missing Mick the Kick. Also, Mick the Kick probably thinks. What are your boys' feelings on this game?
I mean, I want to agree with you. I do want to agree with you, but they've only played 1 game this entire year at Churchill Park, at Lautoka. For some reason, Lautoka brings out something different in these Drua players, and that was the game where they beat the top of the table Chiefs. So I don't know what it is. The squad is actually like close to full strength. They haven't got many injuries at the moment. So I'm sorry, Tahs fans. I'm backing a draw at Churchill Park, and I'm waiting for the stats to prove me otherwise.
Nathan?
God, I want to really take the Waratahs here. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Waratahs. I think they somehow pull it off. I just
news that will surprise no one. The 2 Waratahs fans pick the Waratahs.
Oh, well,
if you were here last week, Nick, you would have heard us both shit on the Waratahs.
Wait, that's a good point. I think the Fiji and Drua come out and beat them. I don't think the Waratahs have a chance. I think this
now he's getting it.
Now
he's getting it.
Yeah, does that work? All right, cool.
Yeah, much
better.
Nick,
are you wishing the Tahs well?
I mean, I want an Australian side to win.
Okay.
The only time I don't want the Tahs to win is 80 minutes twice a year against the Brumbies. In that case, fuck you to hell.
That actually sounds quite pleasurable.
Wouldn't it be fucking you to heaven to be more pleasurable?
Oh, hell's a bit spicier than heaven. I mean, yeah, heaven would just be missionary all the way, and in wedlock. Okay, so 2:30, Moana Brumbies. Nick,
yeah,
I'm gonna ask. Actually, no, I'm gonna ask Nathan, and then I'm gonna ask you. So Nathan,
I'm going to say, Brumbies probably still back it up. I feel like Moana Pacifica is always a banana-skin game for the Brumbies. I don't know. It's just one of those games. It's one of those matchups that just has that feel to it. But I think the Brumbies turn it around. I think Moana Pacifica maybe feeling a bit of the hangover from the Crusaders and Waratahs wins. Kind of didn't look the best against the Blues. I think that, maybe just got figured out a little bit and the Brumbies continue their momentum.
I just don't want the Brumbies to pick a weaker side like what the Tahs did for that round. I actually do think that that at this point in the season, every win is really, really important, and particularly because the Brumbies have a pretty encouraging run over the next couple of weeks. They've got 2 games back to back at home after this week, so it's kind of a more important game that they give credit for. I just don't want them to go with like a weaker side because I actually do really rate Moana Pacifica. I think they're playing quite well, but I will pick the Brumbies if they go with a full strength side.
I'm going to pick the Brumbies just because I think Moana. I think the Brumbies have the game smarts to counter Moana's razzmatazz in the final quarter. I think you might know this, Nathan, but their points scored in the last half or last quarter of the game's astronomical compared to the other quarters of the game. So I think the Brumbies have the smarts to beat them because they saw the Waratahs beat them, and the Waratahs beat the Brumbies, so they might really dwell on that a bit, Nick. Okay, Chiefs Highlanders. I don't know if I've got anything to say. I just want to shout out to the Highlanders for pumping up the Australian rugby stats this year. A lot of people saying that no Kiwi team has won in Australia. Well, thank God. 4 of those games were the Highlanders. I think they've played 3 of the games. I don't know, something like that for the Highlanders.
Like that.
And one with the Chiefs, beaten by the Waratahs. Nick. So yeah, I just I think the Chiefs just gonna steamroll them. I wonder if the Highlanders will do the same thing to D-Mac that the Waratahs did to him.
Nah.
I reckon the Chiefs will be pissed. I reckon the Chiefs will be really pissed after they were really disappointed. They should be really disappointed with their performance in Sydney. So I reckon they'll come out and make a statement. It's statement time, and they're back at home when they play much better at home.
Yeah.
Great.
Win this game, or looking for houses to buy in grey stains.
Punishment enough.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Nathan.
I agree. I think this is like the perfect revenge game for the Chiefs. Like the Highlanders are a lot of fun and have a lot of really exciting young backs, but it's a pissed off Chiefs side. It's going to be dangerous.
And finally, the Force back from their bye. So that means this week the Reds have the bye, which is great because Nathan, you were saying they looked absolutely flat out against the Brumbies. But the Force come back from the bye, are playing the Hurricanes at home. Now, I'm going to say Nathan and Nick, I reckon game of the round because the Force really have something to prove, as do the Hurricanes. Because the Hurricanes have just been a bit dormant. Kind of until they beat the Waratahs 2 weeks ago. But yeah, where do we think this will land?
I reckon the Force are up for this one. They have to be because they've got a bloody. This is the end of kind of a favourable part of the draw for them. This is the last match after the bye. After this, they have 2 weeks on the road in New Zealand, and they play the Chiefs and the Blues back to back. Then they have to go home and play the Brumbies in Perth, which is, Brumbies were able to pull off a win last time they were there in Perth last year. And then they have to go to play the Drua in Lautoka. That is a brutal 4 weeks. That is a very tough 4 weeks. And before finishing off with the Waratahs at home, and then they have the bye. So they have to basically execute and try and get as many wins as they possibly can out of that brutal period. And when that is the case, you've got to win these games at home, and they can beat the Canes at home. They have beaten the Canes at home. There's a favourable record there, and the Canes aren't necessarily playing their best right now. They've lost a couple on the trot.
Well, have they? They
lost to the Crusaders and the Blues. Crusaders and the Blues, I think, are the last 2 games they've lost, and I think that's
it. So then before that
they pumped the Tahs. Yeah, before that they pumped the Tahs.
Yeah,
the Hurricanes. I watch the Hurricanes play and think they should be like a top 4 side, but they just keep sort of fucking around at big moments and just not putting it all together and getting wins. I kind of just look at them like, why are you not in the top 6 already? Like they're that team. Them and the Blues, I look at and be like, how are you guys still like 8th and 9th? You should be in the finals by now. Like I look at that top 6, and yeah, it's great as an Australian fan, but I feel like I look at it and go, shouldn't the Blues and Hurricanes have made a move by now? So I wonder if that pressure starts to catch up to them. And it's just
it feels like a horse race when a horse bolts out the start for the first kilometre or whatever. And you're like, all right, that's good. But it's not. They end up 8th by the time everyone comes out of their slipstream.
Or is it a cycling pack and the Australian sides are just calling out together, hoping to try and just detach? So when the Kiwi Kiwi sides have to try and make their run, they're all of a sudden a bit more cooked and just fall off the back.
Yeah, and not to say like maybe the Kiwis are on EPO. Who knows? I'm not saying that. I'm not accusing them of that.
Allegedly.
Or do the Kiwis have they cheated and actually their bikes aren't up to standard and they're usually using illegal composite materials to lighten the bike? Again, who's to say?
Allegedly.
I
guess we'll never know.
We'll not know. But yeah, Nick, that's wild. Actually, the force to think they have to fly. So it would be a 7-hour flight from let's say
it's rancid. It's rancid.
And then really they do that, and then fly back home, and then fly to Fiji, and then fly back home again.
They've got 2 weeks back to back they've got 2 matches in back to back in New Zealand. I reckon it'll be a tour. They'll turn it into a tour. That might bring out some decent rugby, and then they have played some good rugby on the road. It's just 2 trips away that are brutal. I mean, you're going to 2 of the hardest places to win.
But even the Kiwi sides, if they play the Force, they play another Australian team on the way back home. Just wild. Because I saw it before. Because Waratahs are playing the Force in the penultimate round in Perth, and then the Waratahs flying over to Auckland in the last game.
Well, at least they can stop by Sydney for a couple of days.
Yeah, sun themselves in the cooling waters of Coogee Bay.
That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's predictions for this Force Hurricanes game. I really want to see the Force win, but I don't think they'll do it.
I think they do. I think there's too much at stake for them not to win this game. They have to execute it. I think they're up for it.
God,
plus they're fresh.
I think the Hurricanes win. Unfortunately. I just have that feeling that this is the first win for our New Zealand side in Australia. And it kind of starts the period of normality, as what the Kiwis would call it.
I'll tell you what, though. The Hurricanes are paying $1.73 and Force are $2.20. Waratahs are paying more to win in Fiji.
Yeah, that probably makes sense. As in, what are the Waratahs?
Hey?
What are the Waratahs are $2.50.
Oh, I'm saying $2.60. I'm saying Western Force $2.20. I even say Moana are $2.50.
Interesting. I can't bet, but that's interesting.
Yeah. If I was to bet. If I was, so to speak, hand over sensitive information to, let's say, my podcast co-hosts.
I would go full OJ. If I was to do it, if it was me,
yeah.
I'm surprised that the Waratahs are $2.50.
Yeah, that's wild. Oh well. Okay. I guess that's all from us. I'm looking forward to Easter. I hope everyone's looking forward to Easter. Nathan sucked in. You have to work, and Nick, I don't know about you. You working?
Working as well. Yeah.
Sucked in. I'm chilling back and relaxing.
Just eating your eggs.
Eating the eggs. Raw.
Oh.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much for joining. Nick, thanks for rushing on from whatever you're doing. And thanks everyone for listening to us. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I have. I know I have. And I hope you have too. Catch you guys. And let's go to the Waratahs, of course. Australia's favourite team.
No.